So we have 2 days good weather. I'm off. Now's our chance. My dad and my brother are going to be here to help me get the posts in for the deck. And we're within a 16th, best I can tell. Both of them had it on the stick at like right on 10 inches. I've already double checked the saddle measurement. That looks about right. So we have our first post installed just basically, and we're going to take one crossboard over to the ledger board, and then one board is going to go on the outside, and that will start to help stiffen up this post. So Benny and I got first one up. Dad held the ladder to make sure that I had to get up until that step in order to reach. This one is mostly secured. I do have to hit the outside bracket. But other than that, and the fact that there's a giant knot right there, so I'm going to have to replace that nail with a screw or pre-drill it and then nail it in. That one is good. And so now we're working on this one, and we just changed mind. Just put the laser level in the saddle, shot across, found what we need to cut it off the bottom, put this one in place, ran the laser level across to here. You can just barely make it out, but it was good enough. Hit this one, got that one to height, ran the laser level over to there. The sun was just too much, couldn't make it out no matter how hard I tried. So instead, we popped the laser onto that double joist there, ran it over, found the amount it went down, and compared that to this side. We have our palm nailer out here because we have some really tight spaces. Actually pulled that joist out of H1 and had to put it back in to put this post in. And what I can hammer, I'm just doing by hammer, but what I can't, we're doing with a little palm nailer there. And first time I've actually had to use the compressor in a while. So we start with just the 2 hinge point nails, get it plumbed up with a level to where it's side to side vertical this way, plumb. And then we do the other nails once we've plumbed it this way. Beam and post up, first one. And we have one of these beams on top cut, and at least angle cut, which is the hard part since I don't have a beam cutter. This guy here is being braced temporarily by just an extra block to connect on the inside and outside so that it doesn't, go anywhere while we're waiting to put the beams on top. We got our scaffold over so that when we put this beam up, it'll be easy, and that will help us to get up and run this cross beam through right there. We're going to do that tomorrow. I'm just wrapping up on small things. So sometimes I end up just doing a whole lot of catch up and small tasks that I've put off for a while because, I wasn't ready for them yet, or we were trying to get a bunch of big stuff done and I knew they could wait. So here's a few of them that I am working on right now. When we installed these doors, I did not put in this seal tape here, just around the frame. On the lower deck, these straps have been hanging with the bottom half unnailed, so those got nailed today. We ran out of screws and they had to get some more, and there were like 5 or 6 screws missing before I could put on that tape. So those screws are in and that tape is on. Same as the dining door and utility door, actually both. This tape is now on, covering the outside. This is a rolling storage shelf, and I recently built these shelves in before. I just had a little bunch of scraps thrown in there, got it reorganized.
You're gonna go out?
Gotta get him out first, Daddy.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm trying to do it.
Okay.
You want to try and hoist it up right now, or what's your...
Once you out the door.
Okay, I need a little further even than that then.
How much further?
There.
Okay, I'm gonna have a hard time with this.
Wait. Okay.
Come around.
Well, I won't be able to swing it
Well,
much.
you have to get on the other side.
Yeah. Should I just lift it up and we get it on there, Ben?
If you can.
Mr. Elf.
Oh, good. Okay, you're on.
dead yet.
That post is not for standing, putting bracing, touching.
Leaning against.
Ben kept trying to die yesterday. He'd be like, I'm just gonna. Ah!
My way. Okay. Now we're on.
When you're ready.
Okay, should be good. Okay, and we can scoot mine just a bit. Yeah, that's tight on the tips.
That'd be center of post right about there. So if you set it with big blue on that one, and then you use the little blue to hold it, and then come over here and we can set this one. Then I can nail it.
Jimmy a bit, but it's not horrible.
So that one says we're where we need to be, which is actually really darn good because we're pretty much on the center line.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Okay, shoulder Benny. So we're trying to figure how we're going to deal with this guy here. So we're at about 70 inches, and we know the center of this wall is slightly bowed outward from the two sides. Gentle, but it curves to match the house. Not as bad as the concrete, but so in order to get the top here to not be pushing on the string in the center and to match up to the other two, we've got to bring it in a little bit. So our joists are going to be, counting based off of what we are here and what we are here for the ceiling. And then the rafters are going to be based off of that as well. So Ben is extending for a nice long reach. Does he reach? He does. Great job.
144.
To the edge. Perfect. That makes sense, actually.
143 and 7/8.
Okay. So our main goal here is actually just to get this stiff and well braced, and you can see that it's getting there. Once we run the rafters, in particular the hip beams, because they are 45 to a perpendicular and 45 to a parallel, the structure is just going to lock into place. For the time being, we just don't want this to be able to go just anywhere that it wants to go. So the other beam is cut and ready, I believe. So
Okay.
Probably. Okay. If you can't, I'll switch.
let's take it nice and easy, Benny.
Second. On the ladder. Okay.
Alright, I'm not 100% pushed out as far as I should be.
Well, I'm not 100% up anymore.
Do you want to hold it where it is and I can go up one more rung?
Yeah, you're good.
Ready?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Are you good to go?
I'm closer now.
I'm gonna go up and in, I hope. Oh, okay.
You need me to push outwards?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, we fit. It's perfect.
Okay, well, we can put up another H1 bird, or we can go have lunch. But we have lunch. Lunch. Lunch.
You are the boss of us.
Good progress for the end of the day.
Take a walk right in your pajamas.
morning. As you can see, a very cool day out here, but sunshine. I have been missing the sunshine. Pardon me. We are recovering from colds, but I'm feeling much better. Been congested all the way back to the very end of my sinus passages and, you know, eyes crossing level of head pressure. So now that I'm at least past that part, I'm back out in the house and we've gotten a couple of things done. I want to show you where we put electrical boxes and talk a little bit about that and the choices we've made. And then I also want to show you what I'm working on today since it's so nice outside, which is the back or lower deck. So last night we had wind chill, which brought the temperature effectively down to 12 degrees, which is the coldest in at least 10 years that I can remember, at least in the three places that I've lived in that time. Now, one interesting thing is that this being a 5 1/4, it calls for a stringer every 9 inches on center. So to make this a nice wide stairway, it's going to be a lot of stringers. It is what it is. We'll get to that when we get to it. For now, I just want to get this main thoroughfare at least done. So to do that, the first step that I've got to work on is I've got to get the blocking in. So here in the middle, we have cross blocking from one side to the other. And on the far side, over here, we have the same thing between the post and the other post. We have that cross blocking there, you can see that. We're gonna run a single or a double across on the outside. And then in here in the middle, we're gonna run a double across this way, perpendicular to the rest of the boards. And then there'll be an outside run. We can have a 12-foot coming to the center here and dimensionally a 12-foot coming to the outside over here, and then the same double strip on here. And that will give us what we need as far as the support and the dimensionality of the decking material. So it'll look nice and even and symmetrical, and the only piece that will look, you know, it will be an extension on the one side is that cantilevered section, which it's fine if it's, you know, it just abuts outwards because it doesn't fall into the pattern. So I think it's going to look really nice. All right, so I've tossed all the boards up here that I'm going to need for this side, minus probably one, and a couple in the house that are ready to be cut. I've gone ahead and I've cut a couple of these for around the post connections. I'm going to give this just a hair more room to breathe, but it comes out just past, you can see past that. And then I've got basically, you know, like 1 3/4 protrusion. And that is because I want this decking material here to come past the outside board, that board equivalent, by 1/4 of an inch. And so when the water goes down, it won't want to pool on the edge or the lip of this board and go in as much. It'll more likely want to fall down the side. You know, this is the eastward face, so our weather almost entirely goes that way. Sometimes this way, sometimes this way, sometimes that way, but very rarely does it come from the east and drive in here. And we do have on this deck a foot of overhang as well, so there'll be very little time that anywhere other than out here gets a whole lot of weather. So one thing that I will point out here is that I did not attach this into the wall. That is one option, but I don't want to put any more holes into that. So I have enough space to slide the siding in behind, and there should still be a gap between this and the wall. So water will clear and get down, you know, it's 1.5 inches down here. And I have it cinched in multiple directions with timber screws. And so they're quite sturdy already. You know, that one put some effort into it, doesn't want to move at all, and it is against the wall, so you might wonder, you know, how sturdy without the DTTs are these posts. I'm moving the whole deck here. They're in. This one's got a cross tie board that crosses and ties into there to stiffen this up really nice. It's got a metal cross tie below for the double beam. It's got a post cap tying it into the main beam down there. It has 2 screws going this way, and I may put in a crossboard right there. That one is still a little bit loose, but once I get the 2 bolts through and, you know, tie in with a little bit more wood, it'll be as stiff as can be. I do have to, I haven't actually installed any of what I'm walking on. I do have to put in a post here. I'm just getting this deck ready to go basically as much as I can today. I still have to also buy a 2x10 PT for the outside board because all we have right now on this front section is just flushed with the posts. We don't have that outside board. And what I'm going to use that outside board for is, again, I want the water to go down. I don't want it to sit on top of these beams. So we're providing it with a path. And so that's going to actually go down and lap over the beam by a small, 1.5 inch distance or whatever. So the first thing I have to do is I have to put 45 on it because it's going to match up to that other board past the post. I think that just looks better. So the next thing we are going to do here is we're going to find our cut in for this board here. And then we'll just run across. Okay, now if I can get this in here. So this outside board here, I did already make a mistake on once. I actually cut it at the angle for the opposite side. And then I made another mistake and I cut it too short on that side. I had to adjust it down by 1/4 inch and cut off too much. I was able to use that board out here. And so that was good. Only lost a little bit of board to that. But frequently I find that when my head is foggy, I make this kind of mistake. So that's definitely a place where 10% overage can be a good thing. Frustrating to waste the time and the effort to make something with 5 or 6 cuts on it and then have it come out wrong. But at least it's progress, and hopefully I won't make that mistake on any more of these boards today. Okay, so we got that overlap. I'm gonna pop this off just a hair farther, about like that. A little bit more between there than I wanted on the edge, but 3/8 and 1/4. By the time we're done, outside will join up just fine with that other board when I get it installed, so we're good to go here. Okay, so for our next board, we're looking at just shy of 65, about 64 7/8. All right, so on this end, 5 3/4, that's actually pretty good. And on this end, we're talking about 5 7/8 probably. That tells me we're pretty close to on track here. And what we need to figure out now is what the whole rest of the deck is going to look like if we go ahead and install those two boards, just like that, with that 1/4 or 3/8 of an inch of spacing. So I've got everything lined up and pretty close to exactly where it's going to sit, obviously minus the back and forth this way. And what I found is that we're going to be a little less than 12 foot here, which will actually let me get rid of some of these strange cuts that they had on the ends. And there's a few ends that are damaged, so I can buzz both sides, get a nice perfect line. And on this side, I went ahead and cut these a slight longer than I thought I'd need for length. Basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the center, make it look perfect, install these boards. All right, so here's our timber lock screws. We're going to lock in this post the same way we did the other one. Oh yeah, that's rock solid. let me show you a little bit about where we're at for getting started with our trades packages. So the placement of your electrical boxes does make a difference. And let me give you an example that kind of I can talk a little bit about right here. So this is in the master suite, and we have a sconce light, so we don't have to have a bedside table. Here's the bed, hers and his, and a light switch to be able to run that bedside light without a lamp. Same on this side, and then we're going to be putting a fan up here, so that's a double gang box to be able to run that as well. And then plugs for each side. Now, one of the things that we considered in all of the placements that are in the house is, our preferred access height. So there are some standards. We have ours set to start at 16, so it runs up to, something along the lines of 19.5, 16 to 20. They all start at 16 though. And I think other people have mentioned that they actually run it to where 16 is either the center or 16 is the top of the box. We're a pretty tall family, so we like it to where, that's kind of where it's at. This is relatively standard, again, 48 inches for the switches. Here's one that's a little bit bizarre. So this is a sconce, right? A wall light, a wall sconce. And this, again, is something that if you look online or you talk to electricians, varies quite widely. Where do you put this guy? Compare this guy to me, ours is about, 70 inches or so, placement up in that space. And it's right about the same height as my eyeballs. And that was one thing that was commonly suggested, and is actually relevant for us for not just here, but also for the bathroom. This is the master bath, and I've put up a couple of marks so that Casey could see what we were talking about, but this light, you'll notice, is not at the 70 line. That same line is over there in the master suite. And that's because we're putting it above the sink. So we're stacking down to the sink, and then there's that guy right there. And if it were off to the side, then that's suggested as the common height related again. So with us, putting this above, we wanted to be able to have a full, good sized mirror in that same space, but we didn't want it to go up so high because the light will kind of, it'll work differently as far as like how you look in the mirror if you have essentially bad lighting. It should be around your eye height, your eyeballs. So one thing with boxes that we wanted to be able to, make sure that we met code, and just for convenience, more placed in a room than was required. And so, we are following that 612 rule. So the door interrupts the wall, and then you have to be within 6 feet basically for your first outlet. And then if you keep going, then over on that side, there's got to be one in 12 feet. And this one covers both directions, 6 feet and 6 feet. So this is the only one of these in the whole house. So we do have one single triple gang. I hate working with these boxes. I don't like triples or quads. So we kept it to doubles or singles almost everywhere else. This one it just made too much sense. So underneath this hideous triple gang, you'll notice that there is an interior plug, and that will cover our stairway. And then there's this. So this guy, as you can read, that says outside plug. And for the back deck here, it's the first outside plug. So going all the way down there from this side, there'll be a couple of plugs heading to the exterior. And I haven't put them in yet, and I'm not going to until I'm closer ready for siding. And that's just another penetration through. So now we're in the kitchen. And another thing that we did was we overloaded the kitchen. So there's a requirement here that's basically 2 feet. You can't go 2 feet without putting in a box coverage. So technically speaking, I think it would be 2 foot covered, 2 foot covered box. But we are there's a range that's going to be in there. So we just went ahead and put in, 100% to make sure it was covered. I think you probably would get away with less than that in this circumstance, but we have lots and lots of boxes in here for the kitchen. And there will be, These are obviously double gangs. That's not required, but some of these will have a light switch to account for, you know, your overhead cabinetry, giving you a little bit of under cabinet lighting. So we're out here on the upper deck, and just another spot where there will be a few plugs. Let me walk you through what we're thinking here. A plug right here on the side, and there probably won't be another one coming down here, but I may put one in right here, and then for sure there'll be one probably over on this corner of the covered porch. And then obviously we have this big ceiling space here, and we're going to be smart and put a plug up here probably, or maybe on that side there, for Christmas lights and, you know, outdoor lights. We'll be doing the same thing on the lower side of the house. Under the deck there'll be at least one plug. On the lower deck there's going to be a plug on each side, and then I think a plug on each side up high. Picking up feed for the piglets today. Run out for the moment being because we're getting some more grass clover pellet. Roofing membrane is here and ready to go. So we're out on the lower deck here, and I'm going to get the outside board attached, and that will allow me to get the last of these posts also attached, kind of right in between these two major posts. So that'll be the last of the interior portion of the deck, the covered portion. Mine's what's right behind me, this cantilever section that we'll need to get ready to be able to start installing these outside boards. Measure down the size of the board, which is right below me here, and put in a nail. Did the same over there. Can't see it very well, but right there. So that's going to allow me to just get this guy up here and get him into position. So here is the center of the post and the two sides. This is where it's going to go. You can see it's right in between these two runs here. And so it's a very easy spot for me to attach it in via a hanger on the bottom, at least on one side, to help stabilize it. And then it's going to get screwed through the outside, and I'll probably run another one of these boards from joist to joist. So this isn't exactly what you'd be doing with a 4x6 hanger post cap normally. You can see I've removed the part that offends me. This part's got to sit up against the outside joist. And so what we're going to have is, we're going to have this piece. I've put 2 nails through the bottom. We're going to have these 2 side wings that are nailed out through the double outside joist. We only need this to lap one of the 2 in order for it to match up to that post and the other post. So that's why we're doing what we're doing there. And this will still give it a lot of support against laterally pushing out, which is going to be the primary pressure. You're not going to have a lot of people trying to push their way in through these stairs. Had a brief moment there where I was trying to figure out what kind of sin I'd committed to make a mistake of cutting it so high, and then realized that I was on the tip of the post cap. I'm smart. Now you can see this thing is a teeter-totter now. We're going to go ahead and try and lock it into these posts here. That'll hold it for now. It's already pretty darn stiff. I'm pleased with that, but we got a ways to go here yet. 6 inches can get me drive about that far in, almost all the way through the post. Well, there we are.
Yeah, we're already done. This is as stiff as this whole structure already. I don't know that I'll bother with something in between here. That's just as solid as it needs to be.
Oh, what the heck, I'll go ahead and put it in.
So we just need to get this guy figured out, where the cut in for this one is.
Thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button for more, and if you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and leave a comment. It really helps us out a lot. These videos take hours of our time to make, and once we hit 1,000 subscribers, YouTube will start sharing their revenue with us. See you next time.